welcome to Tntn Politics, your political right to know outlet. Man, I'm your host, Edward J. Davis, and I have some really interesting headliners for you in the world of politics. I definitely want to start with what's trending. And as I scroll through this timeline of trending issues, I can't help but keep running across this very interesting information related to Governor Whitmer in Michigan. In case you have not heard the news, roughly 13 white supremacist militia group members have been arrested in an elaborate plot straight out of Mission Impossible or some other action movie. Apparently they had their minds set on starting a complete civil war just before the election, storming the governor's mansion in Michigan, blowing up bridges in an attempt to escape and get away in their boats, killing police officers, which there's an irony there that black men are the primary targets of police killing us, but police are often the primary targets of white supremacist groups and anarchist groups killing them. Just the irony. I digress. And in the midst of all of this amazing action-packed terroristic stuff that they had planned, in addition to that, they were going to storm again the governor's the Capitol and take over. In the process, kidnap the governor of Michigan, hold a kangaroo trial on camera, and execute her. This is not make-believe. This is not Netflix, Hulu, Roku, or any of your other, entertainment specials. This is real life. In 2020, we have a group of white supremacists calling themselves the Wolverine Watchmen, if I'm not mistaken, akin to the other white supremacist militia groups that Trump, our current president, still has yet to deny or denounce. These hate groups, these, again, white supremacist groups. They just straight up said they're going to just go out with a bang, a blaze of glory, take over the government and assassinate. I'm talking about some Taliban, some ISIS type stuff, and assassinate your current sitting governor of Michigan, all because they were not happy with the restrictions she put in place due to COVID-19. It's just interesting times we're living in. And it's hard for me to even process this. And so I often tell people that I know closely that it never surprises me what power holders do to maintain their power. And so, I mean, if you look at the timeline, the history speaks for itself. I just think that it's unbelievable that in 2020, you have a situation where people are willing to attempt in the United States of America to overthrow a sitting government, take it over and have a live execution video of the assassination while they trial her for treason, if it is the word that they were using in this FBI investigation and the evidence that they uncovered. And again, this is some sophisticated high-tech stuff. They had encrypted communication. They met in underground rooms. They trained thoroughly, both in explosives and in, in arms, and these military-grade assault rifles, etc. And they put their money together, and we're going to set it off. Set it off. Not like Queen Latifah and Jada. They were going to set it off. And I just can't wrap my mind around what might even be coming next. And it's just so hard to believe. This is the same kind of group, though, that your president said basically just sit back and stand by. And I guess and wait for further instructions from their chief white supremacist, which is him, or for him to lose the election, and then that's grounds for all white supremacists to just set it off all across the U.S. I don't know. But there's also something else interesting that your current sitting president is doing. In case you haven't heard, and I think I discussed it on the last show, he was diagnosed with COVID-19. So he got that corona. Oh, Mr. Fake News, it's a mass conspiracy, it's not real himself. It's going to go away. When it gets hot, it's going to just, like a miracle, just disappear. He has since contaminated the entire White House. Many of his top staff, many top reporters, and others in that circle are now testing positive. And now he's doing something else now. Instead of calling it fake news and downplaying it, his new spin is trying to paint the picture of himself as this savior, this sacrificial lamb, if you will, that took the reins as general and contracted the virus almost sounding like deliberately, so that he could then bounce back, come back stronger, show us how to beat it, and lead the charge to victory. The stuff I'm seeing right now just borders insanity. But I want you to watch this quick clip, because some of the stuff is just hard to believe, and you won't believe me if I don't just show you them saying the stuff themselves. I can't make this up. So I'm going to go to this clip real quick so you can so that you can have perspective, so you can put this kind of put this in context, and then we'll come back and we'll try to have an informed discussion, because it's hard to have a sober and intelligent discussion. There's just so much insanity. But check this out.
Killed more than 200,000 Americans, President Trump pretended that it was no big deal. But then it landed him in the hospital on supplemental oxygen, pumped full of steroids and a cocktail of aggressive medications, grimacing while he breathed with obvious effort as he arrived home at the White House last night. That no big deal of a coronavirus showed that the White House and its inadequate precautions were just an opportunity waiting to be seized. But the president, supported by helicopter transport and the best medicine that your taxpayer dollars can buy, is still unencumbered by science or fact. And now he's trying to sell his infection as the sacrifice of a true leader.
As your leader, I had to do that. I knew there's danger to it, but I had to do it. I stood out front. I led. Nobody that's a leader would not do what I did. And I know there's a risk, there's a danger, but that's okay. And now I'm better, and maybe I'm immune. I don't know.
Leading people off a cliff is technically leading, but it's also stupid and deadly.
I just can't make this up. This man is now telling the world, the same man who downplayed COVID from the very beginning, but also said that he knew the dangers behind the scenes, talked about how deadly it was, and when you get it, you're out of there, and just did everything he could to deny the existence of it and how bad it was. And now here he is in front of you saying that, hey, I knew the danger. I knew going in. But any leader who's a real leader, you face that danger and you contract that, you contract that COVID just to show the people how to beat it. And I don't know. Maybe I'm immune. By the way, he also said a bunch of other stuff related to this. He says stuff all the time. But he says something along the lines that he feels greater than he's felt in 20 years. And he's ready to go, get on the campaign trail again and go at it. All the while, in the last interview I heard, while he was saying how ready he is to get back in action and to go at it hard and save the world, he coughed quite a few times, spreading that contagion. And that's what he wants. He wants to now continue to contaminate. He would definitely love to get Joe Biden, because he feel like Joe Biden might not make it anyway. If I contaminate him, I'm gonna kill my competition, and I don't have to even worry about who the runner-up is. So he would love nothing more, which is why he's declining to even have a virtual debate. He wants live at 5 contagion in your face, so I can cough a few times and get rid of all my competition. And it's just crazy to me. But the main reason he doesn't want a live debate is obvious. It's because he has no control over those 70-something interruptions he did that last, just ridiculous. And when I say ridiculous, that's an understatement. I don't know what to call that debate, if you can even call it a debate. But those interruptions, see, at that point now, he can't do that, because guess what they can do? They can mute that mic. Now, he'll have no control over that virtual. You can't overtalk nobody. You can't just get in there and keep getting, try to be a bully and try to insert yourself. You have to mind your manners, Mr. President, and go by the order and the rules of the debate, of the platform. So, I just can't wrap my mind around, and again, I don't make this stuff up, but now all of a sudden, he is the savior of the very thing that he denied for so long. And he also said, you can beat it. It gets better. And I wonder how the 200 and something thousand people who've already died and didn't get better, whose mothers, fathers, children, uncles, aunts, grandmothers, grandfathers, I would like for you to explain to them that it gets better. The very people who, in addition to that, they are predicting that it would double, possibly at the rate that it's steady growing, by the end of the year, that the death toll just in the U.S. would have reached over 400,000. But it gets better. So we have to be careful about propaganda. He put a mean propaganda spin on this. Because he probably did think he was invincible and didn't think he was going to ever catch it. And my business partner, Havani J himself, kind of predicted this, which is funny. We had a whole debate about what the strategy was going to be now. And it's just, again, I am just always prepared now in a sober way for whatever happens, because I know what power holders do to maintain power. And it's unfortunate that many people in our community don't teach our children how to handle power. And maybe it's because we try to just get away from insanity, because we already have so much insanity already in our world that to try to hold on to power just seems like it drives people crazy. Because we're doing some crazy ass people right now. And again, I have to say that very firmly. You have militia groups who are ready to set it off and start a whole race war right now, and really not even a race war, because again, their objective is they're anti-government, but they try to paint the Black Lives Movement and us as anti-government. These people want to take over the government and run it like they want to run it. They want to storm the White House, create pure anarchy. The governor's mansion, which again, I'm sure the plan is ultimately to take over the U.S. And they are placed possibly in every major city, if not more. And then we also know that again, they go by many different titles. So this is just a reminder how real this is. The FBI arrested 13 wannabe power holders or power grabbers in this elaborate scheme to kidnap the Michigan governor, assassinate her on live television, and escape by boat, which means they blew up a bridge first. I mean, it's just and my business partner say, what, they don't have helicopters anymore that's going to still follow them. And then again, they might have had that plan out too. They got the rocket launchers for that, the heat-seeking missiles. I don't know, man, but I'm just saying, like, insanity. And then your president sits here and talks about him being a general that's going to lead us to victory over COVID, and that it gets better. What I love is I saw a tweet that somebody responded back on as he was so-called recovering, which I believe he's still contagious. I mean, his doctors won't release any information about anything related to him. When the last time he's actually tested negative, doing any tracing to see how many people might have been infected and who's been around since he has been possibly contagious, like none of that. But since that time, they've conveniently, again, covered up. And now he's just presenting himself again as this great savior that is going to lead us into the promised land. And the propaganda is scary because if you're not paying attention, it is just too easy to be convinced that he is beating this. So I saw this tweet, and it was just so funny. And as he was so-called recovering, and so the woman responded back and said, I'm just quoting the exact words, so this is not necessarily reflect the views of Tntn Politics and Havana J Studios. But the woman said, Mr. President, if every American does not have access to the same super steroid injections and cocktails and all experimental drugs that got you recovered so quickly, shut the fuck up. That's what the lady said. I thought the tweet was just priceless because you're sitting there bragging about how quickly you recovered and about how easy it is to beat and everybody gets better. But when you're trying to destroy Obamacare, which gives people with pre-existing conditions some kind of coverage and help, and you have no realistic plan in place even now to this day to even begin combating COVID-19, and yet you get on TV after you've been injected with all these super steroids and these cocktails and these experimental drugs that taxpayer dollars are paying for, all to now emerge as if your body just did it all on its own. And again, denying that same type of treatment to all the other people that are currently suffering and that over 200,000 who've already died because of your incompetence. This is the person who's now standing in front of you telling you that he had to do it. Maybe he's immune, but any good general would get out front, take all the risk, and even if it meant getting COVID, they're going to get sick, get better, and keep leading you. And that is a hell of a spin to put on this reality. So, what I'm going to do is take a quick commercial break. And when I get back, I'm going to show a couple of other quick clips, do some elaboration, and we're going to take it from there. I will say that stay tuned for upcoming shows. I will have Mr. Ashton back on. This is the brother who founded Black Lives Matter Houston. Unfortunately, he had a personal situation, a family situation that needed his attention. My condolences. I hope everything gets better and that he's able to join us in the future. But things happen. Life happens. And again, in 2020, life is happening in unbelievable and unimaginable ways. So, again, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When I come back, we're going to talk a little bit more, and I'm going to wrap it up. I don't want to keep you too long. I definitely want to inform you about, again, what power holders do to maintain power. And while many of us train our children to serve people in power, they start really early training, educating their kids on how to handle power. And it's a different dynamic there. So, anyway, stay tuned for more Tntn Politics. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to Tntn Politics, your political right to know outlet. I'm your host, Edward Davis. Put that J on that. Unfortunately, I got a common name, so I got to do something to stand out. So let's go with Edward J. Davis. I still love my mom. But back to the reality of what we're dealing with here. I can't emphasize enough how dangerous these times are. I can't emphasize enough how important your vote is. How important it is for you to get out and be active on whatever level you're gonna be active on. I have good friends who start their own black militia groups. We need something to counter what we're about to come up against. I honestly believe the closer we get to election time, the crazier things will get. And so we have to pay attention to what's going on around us. And if we don't, then we have nobody to blame but ourselves if we are not prepared for what is coming. There's already a lot of little things happening and taking place to really disrupt this whole election process. And it's almost like they already see the writing on the wall. And in an act of desperation and to hold on to power, I am telling you, do not be surprised at what people would do to maintain power. So just remember, you heard it here first on Tntn Politics. This election cycle, this whole period from now until election day is going to be crazy. And you still need to make sure that you're not intimidated, you're not deterred. All the things that they've done historically to suppress the black vote specifically and the minority vote in general, it's going to be on steroids. It's going to be that times 10. We have to be prepared to make the world better for the generation coming behind us. And so that means whatever sacrifices that are necessary, we have to be willing to step out there and make those sacrifices. And sometimes all it takes is a vote. I'm not asking you to be another Martin, another Malcolm, to start another Black Panther Party, another SNCC, another, Southern Leadership Conference, a convention, any of those major organizations. I'm not trying to ask you to be start a Garvey movement or a nation movement or any of that good stuff. It would be nice if we saw a lot more of that today. But sometimes it's small things. I went through the line the other day at Chick-fil-A, and the lady said, "Would you like to buy a chocolate chip cookie to support breast cancer awareness month?" And I'm like, my son likes chocolate chip cookies. I can give $1, support a good cause. Sometimes that's all people got in them. It's just $1 to support a good cause. So I'm telling you is that it's so many different ways that you can constantly be doing something. And I'm always reminded of what Sister Ada said when she said that that nobody can do everything, but if everybody did something, everything would get done. If everybody did something, everything would get done. So play your role. What I'm telling you is that you have to change it from the inside out, which means you have to get involved to make sure that there are people getting put in place that can start making those changes that reflect more of the interests that works in our benefit, and to rebuild or build, protect, and give life to our communities. I want to go to the next clip real quick from Cuomo, and it's an interesting clip because and it's kind of long, but it's necessary. So I need you to just hear what he says, and then we'll come back and have another quick conversation. Again, Tntn Politics, your political right to know. Check this out.
To drive from the northwest part of the county to our election headquarters, where we stand at this very moment, is over 50 miles. To force hundreds of thousands of seniors and voters with disabilities here in Harris County, and millions of voters across the state of Texas, to use a single drop-off location in these massive counties is not only prejudicial, but it's dangerous.
Democrats in Texas crying foul after Governor Greg Abbott signed an order last week that allows only one satellite early voting office to remain open in each county. Now, 2 civil and voting rights groups are suing Abbott in federal court, arguing the bill puts a burden on Texans' voting rights. Let's bring in Dana DeDubois. She is the clerk in Travis County, which, of course, is where Austin, Texas is. Dana, thank you for joining us. We very much appreciate it. You know, the whole thing is here, if you don't want to mail in your ballot in Texas, you can drop it off at a drop-off site. The Democrats are complaining, saying, look, we have been promoting these drop-off sites for weeks and weeks and weeks, and now the governor comes out and says, we're getting rid of all of them except for one in each county, and they say that puts a heavy burden on voters. What do you think?
Good morning. Well, I am concerned about this ill-timed decision because since July 27th, the governor has told everybody that this is the way we're going to approach elections. We're going to offer these options for voters who are concerned about going inside in person and who are also concerned about the damage done to the post office. So both Harris County and Travis County had already started using these facilities. Voters were actively participating when the governor suddenly and abruptly canceled the use for this, and the legality of his decision is in question. So I'm very concerned that this is deliberate disruption. Otherwise, and we're surprised that the governor would do this.
Yeah. So we'll show the Cuomo video a little later. This actually was just as important because it actually really piggybacks off of the insanity already taking place in the White House, and I gave the clips to my production team in a certain order, and so that one came first. So let's go ahead and talk about this piece right quick, and then I want to get some of these comments that I'm getting from some of the people watching. so I'm sorry, I'm going to get some of these comments. So now you have a situation where Governor Abbott, our governor of Texas, and I will bring this thing locally so we can understand what's going on, has shut down every other drop-off location for ballots, early voting, mail-in ballots, that whole situation. They're trying so much to suppress it from even the mailing system itself, and how there's just certain dynamics taking place there to slow down the mail-in of itself. Like, it's just crazy, like the lengths these people are going to. And now he's decided that he's going to allow only one location per county to be open to receive these ballots. I can't begin to tell you the type of suppression and interference that suggests from a sitting governor right now, 2020. Again. And it puts a heavy burden on elderly, disabled, people with pre-existing conditions, all of those variables. It's just the same thing. You have some places, like the man said, that is over 50 miles to get to the location. Well, what kind of, if you do not see and understand the plot behind that and the reality of what's going on right now, then it's a slow day for you. I'm not saying that you're slow. It's just a slow day for you. And I'm saying that lightly. But we need to wake up for real. On this comment, I just have to say, right? So, so Ms. McKnight talked about the vice presidential debate and that fly that was on Pence's head. And man, I tell you, I've seen so many memes related to that fly. And how usually, again, I'm just saying, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm only saying typically there's a lot of flies landing on people is in movies where they're like performing an exorcism, right? The flies usually come before the demons come, you know. But the man had a whole fly on that pretty white hair of his for a nice little piece of his debate. And everybody's talking about this fly. I saw one little meme that I think my cousin created on Instagram. The fly actually, they zoomed in on the fly, and the fly just started breaking it down, just dancing on his head, sipping some lean. It was just the funniest thing I've seen in my life. But again, we're living in just some crazy times. What I'm telling you is this: the signs are there. The universe is exposing, and it's showing you very clearly what you're dealing with. I know you know for a fact, from the White House to the governor's mansion here in Texas, there is a concerted effort to suppress the minority vote, to disrupt the election in every possible way they can, to ensure that the people who currently have the power maintains the power. If you can't see that, it's a slow day. It's just a slow day. Maybe you'll see it tomorrow. Maybe I just hope you see it before it's too late. So I'm going to actually go ahead and kind of wrap this up. I actually want to save the Cuomo video for, let me show you, I don't have a fly in my head. You know, I don't want to be associated with that party. I want to save the Cuomo video because I actually had that plan because it fits so perfectly or so neatly into the presentation or the interview with the Black Lives Matter Houston. So I do want to save that clip for another day. What I do want to do, as always, is make sure you understand that if you don't get out and get active, if you don't do something, then you have nothing to complain about. You should not open your mouth if you are refusing to get involved and make your voice heard. They say a quiet mouth don't get fed. But the reality is, in silence is your approval. And so for those who sit in silence, to me, you have to be in agreement with what's going on right now. So if you're in agreement, stay silent. If you disagree, raise your hand. Stand up. Be heard. Many organizations to join, many opportunities to do something. And again, if you're just driving through, my part, I'm getting about this too because I'm giving out free advertising. But if you do nothing else today but drive through Chick-fil-A and buy a chocolate chip cookie and donate that $1 for breast cancer awareness or breast cancer research or that's what it goes into. And I was somewhere else and they did something similar. They took too much of my money though. It was Smoothie King, and they wanted to round it up to the nearest dollar. My order was only like $4.03, so they took another dollar really. And that was towards again another great cause. I'm just saying that there's opportunities like that all the time, and it's a no-brainer because you're already in motion. It doesn't take any more time to actually execute, and like I say, you're still just doing some kind of good in the world. If that's your choice, do that. What I'm saying is, for the people who want to get more serious and who want to stand with what's at stake, there's a lot more that you could and should be doing, and you need to start the doing part. Because one thing about us is always seems to be a separation or a gap between the conversation and the action. There always seems to be a lot more ceremony than actual substance. Right now we have this Black Lives Matter thing, which I want to talk about at a later date with this interview. But they're saying in so many words that this may be the largest movement in the history of the United States of America. There's a lot of momentum behind that movement. Chase Bank, J.P. Morgan Chase just contributed $30 billion towards causes related to racial justice and equality, etc. Now, I don't know who's going to get that money. I don't know what kind of programs it's going to go to and what's going to be put in place. Because that can also be just a token gesture and more ceremony than substance. At the end of the day, though, everybody's on the bandwagon. And so what I'm telling you is that there's momentum. What are we doing with it? How does this end? Because clearly other people not playing. When you have a whole group that's standing by and waiting on their president to say, set it off, and already got elaborate plans in place with high-tech technology and weaponry, and are ready to set it off, you gotta play by the same. I ain't saying arm yourself to that degree, even though I believe that every person who's able to bear arms should exercise their that's your right. That's your constitutional right. You should exercise that at all costs. What I am saying is that they're playing for keeps, and so you got to come to the table with the same level of seriousness. That's all I'm saying. At the end of the day, we do or we don't. But you can't cry foul play. You can't sit there and kick and scream if you know in your heart that you're not doing everything in your power to make that situation look different. I'm your host, Edward J. Davis. This has been Tntn Politics. Hope you got a little bit. Maybe I just motivated you a little bit. Maybe I just put a little fop on your butt. I don't know. But maybe you got a little bit that can make you start thinking a little bit differently about what you need to be doing, what we need to be doing to change this outcome. I'll see you on the next show. Y'all have a great weekend.